When thousands of rioters succeeded in breaking into the U.S. Capitol last week, it was a scene no one had seen in the United States. Sonam Zoksang, originally from Tibet, now owns a small business in Hudson Valley, New York.
I was completely shocked. My heart sank. I was on the verge of tears.
Rioters pushed through Capitol Police, ransacked the building, smashing windows and waving Trump, American, and Confederate flags. Political strategist Emira Woods, originally from Liberia, says it was expected.
In fact, it was 4 years in the making, but many say decades before then. So I think it was not a surprise. What I think shocked us was the level of violence that was targeted at members of Congress. What also was shocking was the level of command structure that was in place.
The armed insurrection left 5 people dead. Vanndhath, who is originally from Cambodia and is now a nurse in Virginia, sees it differently.
I don't believe it was an attack. I think these mob or these protesters never planned it to be a violent act. But when push comes to shove, it ended up escalating into pretty much, I would say, a trespassing or an intrusion to the Capitol Hill.
Tuan An La from Vietnam participated in the demonstrations. He's a U.S. Navy veteran and says he condemns the violent acts, but
we are there to demand the truth. It is impossible for us to accept a certain result when half of the voters are in the limbo of understand what is going on that particular night, November the 3rd.
Election results had been certified by all 50 states, and lawmakers were at the Hill to finalize the certification process on January 6. Meron Semedar, 34, originally from Eritrea, recently became a U.S. citizen. He says he saw a clear picture.
Coming from Africa, it felt as if there was a coup d'etat happening, overtaking of government. You could equate it with domestic terrorism against the foundation of this country. And clearly, it felt this was violation of democracy.
Yet members of the group that took over the Capitol say they had the right to protest U.S. election results.
They don't get to steal it from us. They don't get to tell us we didn't see what we saw.
But Mireille Safi, a special immigrant visa recipient and former interpreter from Afghanistan, says what he saw last Wednesday was horrible, and it has for sure affected his views on American democracy.
We see like the U.S. is spending billions of dollars across the world in different countries and different continents to support the democracy and development, to support the civic education, to support the social rights and all these things. But we found that a lot of work is required inside the United States as well.
Gigi, a Columbia graduate originally from China, says she was shocked, but has also learned a lesson.
Democracy is really fragile and takes a lot of effort, energy, needs people from all aspects to sustain, protect, and practice.
Democratic Party lawmakers and a few Republicans blamed President Trump for inciting the violence, which he denies. In addition to being impeached, Trump has been banned from several social media outlets which also accuse him of similar things. Some, like David Ah, originally from South Korea, disagree with some of the ways Trump has been treated.
For example, Twitter decided to permanently ban President Trump's Twitter account. First Amendment protects freedom of speech, whether it is true or false, right or wrong. A lot of people do not understand the value of freedom, and it worries me more than those riots.
Pahniti Tosukri, who goes by Tom, was born in the United States. He moved to his home country of Thailand when he was 9 years old, but came back here when he was 15.
And I think the first thing I thought was, I wonder what this group would get away with compared to other protests. And as I started watching it, I started seeing, the response was very different And it was very disheartening to start seeing the police officers that were supposed to protect just kind of cooperate a lot more with the protesters that appeared to be very violent and agitated. So, it was very shocking.
Some officers are already being investigated for their actions, but many more fought bravely to protect the U.S. Capitol. Mariama Diallo, VOA News, Washington.